Look, we've been underground quite a bit in this series, in various places. That tin mine in Cornwall, the nuclear bunker in Manchester. Yes, thank you. The bit where the big one in Blackpool goes underground. Oh, the tunnels under Dover Castle. But the one thing they all had in common was lights. We're going from one side of London to the other without hitting the surface. And how long do you think a box of matches will last? Oh, that's more like it. Right, now you can start the programme.
It's a beautiful thing when I look at you and try to see the world from someone else's point of view. Trying to be the best that I can, never really knowing all the wonders of this land.
You see, when you're in London and you're underground, this is what you should do. You should let the train take the strain. Except that no trains come down here. At all. So we can't. Look, do I really have to carry this great big stupid thing? Now, the other thing is, let me get this right. You've arranged for your cousin to come along and show everybody where we are on top, yeah? Is he doing that now? Yeah, well, you can tell which family he comes from, can't you? What's his name? You don't know. How many cousins have you got? Anyway, this is Aldwych Station, which opened in 1907. And it's brilliant. They put in all sorts of stuff, including this particular tunnel, which was never ever finished, as you can see. And they put in all sorts of lift shafts, and they spent fortunes on it. But unfortunately, nobody wanted to come here, which is the Strand area. In fact, Strand was the original name for the station. That was changed in 1914. So, not long after it had opened, they closed one of its platforms. And I'll take you to that one now. So this platform has been shut since 1912, and it's used for a variety of things now, none of which have anything to do with taking people on tube trains. This is it. Those are the rails, the original rails, which haven't seen a train on them since 1912. And they've done all sorts of filming down here. Superman was filmed down here, and also The Singing Detective. And if you notice on the floor, you'll see lots of different textures on the floor. And that's because they use this platform for experimentation. They've got a series of flags up one of the tunnels which hung from the ceiling, and that was a device for showing you how to get from line to line, which was never implemented. Now, this line eventually will take you to Holborn. Down here, I'm talking of Holborn, here is Holborn Station. Actually it isn't, but it's a mock-up of it. They tried it here before they took it to the real thing. Again, a different floor surface. This is from the Piccadilly line, and that one is from the Victoria line. And if you go down through here, there it is. The tunnel, which you can walk down now all the way to Holborn. Now, has your cousin got it right now? Is he there? Very good. Well, that's what it looks like from up there. This is what it looks like, very much so, underneath. And away you go. Go on. I'll see. No, you're not having this. I need it to get back. Go on. Still deep under the heart of London. In fact, we're under the city again. And I'll give you a clue. We're right by the Old Bailey. Come in here. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking this beer's for the Old Bailey, aren't you? Well, we're not that close to the Old Bailey. We're actually on the other side of the street, but there used to be a tunnel that came up just behind that door there. Now the reason for that was because that tunnel was connected to Newgate Prison, the infamous Newgate Prison, where debtors and offenders of petty crimes were locked up. Everyone was locked up in those days. This was about 200 years ago. In fact, so many were locked up they needed overflow cells. And this is one of them. This cell would house 16 men. And if you see this hole up here, people would drop food from the pavement through that hole. There'd be a big scrap for the food here. But at night time, when everyone had been out drinking, they dropped far less savoury things through the hole. Quickly moving on. Your cousin, he's upstairs, isn't he? Could you get him to do a picture, do you think? Do you think you could put the pipe down and go outside and show us that this is in fact the Viaduct Tavern and across the street is the Old Bailey? Now around here we'll go into cells number 4, 5 and 6, and I'm going to turn this on. In fact, I'm going to take you into 5. This should give you an example of what it was like. This has more or less been untouched. Old gates and bars around everywhere. Now have a look inside there. You see the people. Oh, the bulb's gone. Where are you? Is that you? What? Oh! How'd you get out? Ah, now this is both fascinating and beautiful. St. Bride's Church, known as the Printer's Church, because it's right next to Fleet Street. But there's another reason for it being known as the Printer's Church, which I shall show you in a bit. I shall take you on a little guided tour, but let's stop off here first. An iron coffin. That's because they used to have body snatchers. And that coffin could be sealed down to protect you after you died. It's actually called Safety for the Dead, that particular coffin. Now, this church, like so many of the churches in the city, was designed by Sir Christopher Wren, the tallest spire he ever built. And it is remarkably pretty. So if your cousin's up there, and if he's paying attention, no, he's not paying attention, can you tell him to take a picture of the church? Right, well there you are, you see. You see that beautiful spire which is tiered. Now, that tiered effect was spotted by a young chef who used to look at it through his bedroom window. And his name was William Rich. And this is actually his wife's wedding dress from their wedding day party. I know it's got no head, but it's just actually showing off the dress. Now this young chef used to look out and see the tiered thing, and he thought, maybe I should make wedding cakes in the same shape. And he did. And that's why wedding cakes to this day are tiered, because of this very church. Now round here, a museum which takes us back 1800 years. I said it was known as the Printer's Church, and that's because Caxton put London's first printing press in this church, 1476. And it's had a long association with the press ever since. Samuel Pepys was christened here, and do you know, just to throw to one side, the first white child born in America, his mum and dad got married in this church. Now we're back in the really old bit, 11th and 12th century all around me. And in the mirror over there, reflecting down, you can see a Roman pavement. Well, I don't know whether you can see it, but anyway, down there is the paving from a Roman pavement, where they walked 1800 years ago along what is now Fleet Street. And all of this revealed because a bomb dropped on the church during the Second World War, and as they were clearing it out, they found all of these hidden treasures. Now, this is truly fascinating. It's an underground train service that carries no passengers, and its trains don't even have drivers. And yet, it carries 23,000 bags full of mail every day over a 6-mile journey, which is, roughly speaking, from Paddington to Whitechapel. It's called Mail Rail, and it was opened in 1927. And basically, it carries mail from one sorting office to another sorting office right the way across London. These old electric trains were built in the early 30s. They've done over 1 million miles each, and they're still going. Now, if you have a look in here, it's the computer switching which actually controls the trains automatically. Excuse me, thank you very much indeed. So, all right, here we are. This shows where they are, in and out of the tunnels. This is where we are under Mount Pleasant at the moment. And all the different lights show where the various trains are. And that's the switching gear, but you're all right because it's been disconnected. So you can play with that as much as you want. It's computers doing it now. And here's another one of the platforms and one of the trains waiting to burst into action. Eastbound. Now that'll take you down towards the city and Whitechapel. So, let's wait for the next one, eh? See, there's lots of wires, but I'm not really too sure where exactly we are. If your cousin's still up there, he couldn't just have a quick look round for us, could he? Ah, All Souls Church, another Christopher Wren church. And that means that we are in the tunnel that leads to Broadcasting House. Over there is Radio 1 in Egton House, and this tunnel runs between Egton House and the world's first ever purpose-built broadcasting centre. Now, if we go down here, 1932 this was built. It's in 3 parts. There's a 30s part, there's a 1950s part, and there's a 1990s part. And this is the 30s part. The BBC, when it originally was formed, stood for British Broadcasting Company. It became a corporation later when under charter it had to educate, entertain and inform. A bit like us really. And this is the old concert hall where they did that educating. Big bands would play here live and there'd be readings for things like Shakespeare. It's a beautiful old hall which has been done up and turned into the radio theatre. Programmes like Have I Got News For You or Headlines come out of here. But you know me, when I'm on a stage, I have to do my bit. So here we go. My liege, your sword. Where are you going? To find your cousin? Where is he? The Houses of Parliament? Well, that's a bit of a hike. We're gonna need some refreshments or something. Do you think you could send something down? Well. What's that? What? You've got a flask? You didn't tell me. Anyway, where are we? Under the Thames? Look, I'm sorry. I know it's been a long trek, but onward and downward. And believe me, you'll enjoy it, because it's very, very mechanical. And you love things like that. And besides, it's an engineering masterpiece. I've no idea how you even start building something like this. There's a clue. Downriver access. Come on in and have a quick look down there. 1/4 of a mile or so of corridor. Any idea where we are now? Well, here's another clue. You've currently got the Thames River above your head. It's up there and flowing away merrily. But should it ever rise suddenly because of strange atmospheric conditions, there is a danger that the Thames will flood our capital city and do untold damage to it. So, in 1983, this structure was opened, the Thames Barrier. And I hope that your cousin is up there to show us how it works, because we really need him this time. Now, we all know the steel domes that stick out of the water, which don't actually look that much in terms of slowing water down, but in between each of them there are these enormous doors, some of them weighing 3,300 tons, and they slide up and hold back the water. And they can hold back up to 9 meters of water. In fact, they have held back up to 4.5 meters in the past, as the doors have been used 25 times in anger, which means when they needed to be, and they've been tested over 170 times. And this is beneath everything. It's a concrete tunnel that takes you from one side of the river to the other. A real privilege. And it goes on for quite some way, so bye-bye now. You don't have to bring me to some strange places and times. The middle of the 40s we are. He's been resting since 1945. And it's gloomy down here, isn't it? But that's all right, because the rest of the nation had total blackout. And you know, the rest of the nation didn't know about these rooms. Top secret they were. In fact, they were right up until recently. If your cousin's upstairs, I'll bet even now he has difficulty finding out how to get into here. These are the Cabinet War Rooms. This is where it all happened. This is where Winston Churchill and all of his men planned our every action during the war. They chose this area because it's under the government offices, which is a huge building, steel structure, very, very strong, could withstand bombing, and it's just on the other side of the road from Parliament, so it was dead convenient. This is a stairwell that they just filled with concrete to make what's on the other side doubly protected. They've dug this through since then, and we go into where it really did happen. This is the map room annex. You can see all the different armies plotted out all over Europe there. And if you come round here, exactly as it was, thrown together in a bit of a rush, it has to be said. I mean, they've started planning this only a year before war broke out, and it was officially opened, if that's the right term, just 1 week before the Second World War started. And you can see how hastily it was made. I mean, wooden girders, bolted together, pipes all over the place. But there were one or two little touches, like that, for example. That's a cigar lighter. That's where Winston Churchill pressed that button, it glowed, and he'd have lit his cigar there. And talking of the great man, this is a real treat. This is the Prime Minister's bedroom. He actually only stayed here on 3 occasions during the Blitz, because he had offices up on the first floor with his wife, which became known as 10 Downing Street Annex. But, you see that table over there? That's where Sir Winston made most of those very famous wartime broadcasts from. Now then, think you can find your way out of here? Yeah, just like you, to come in through the exit. Now this is a door. This is a door. A serious door. And it's here for a very good reason. It's something that, to be honest, I knew nothing about. I've just stepped into it. We're under Chancery Lane, and this is the home to the London Silver Vaults. It actually started off life in 1882 as a safe deposit company, where people could come along, put their valuables overnight, know they were here and safe, and in the morning get them out again and start trading again. Gradually, over the years, it developed into a specialist centre for silver. And now each one of these vaults on either side has a firm buying and selling silver. Not more than a firm, really. Families who've been doing it for generations after generations. And people from all over the world now know about these vaults and travel here. You could buy, if you want, just a little spoon, or you could buy enough silver for your entire shop. All of the experts are here. And the reason that English silver is so much sought after and that this is such a centre for excellence, well, it's all to do with the sterling stamp. You've seen it on your rings. And that dates back to 1544. And every single piece of this silver has been stamped with it. And if you want to have a look around, you can. But I think it's probably a little out of your league, matey. Hey, look. Daylight. It's actually quite a nice day out there. But we're not going out there. Oh, no, we're staying underground. And this time, we're in a bit of a spooky place. Kensal Green Cemetery. And these are the catacombs. The General Cemetery Company got permission from Parliament in 1830, Royal Assent, to open a cemetery here, half in Hammersmith and half in Kensington. And as was the wish of quite a few people of the day, they wanted to be buried in catacombs. Now, catacombs basically are for people who don't want to be buried underground. They want to be stored somewhere, but not under soil. This is the lift, which brings the coffins down from the chapel. You turn that. The chapel is up there. Now, the reason they need this lift to do the job is because the coffins are extremely heavy, because they are lead-lined and sealed, and they have one or two ornaments and things like that inside. And if we go down one of these avenues, there are countless avenues. The coffins going back to the middle 1830s, and right up to today, you can still buy one of the slots if this is how you particularly want to lie in rest. If the idea of going under 6 foot of soil is not one that appeals to you, then maybe this is. They've had to seal up a lot of the entrances to the catacombs because they got grave robbers. People coming, taking the lead and also taking the jewellery out of the coffins. So, they've stopped that now and there's a good deal of security surrounding them. It's spooky, aren't they? You alright down there? Good, good. Oh, dearie me. The bulb's gone again. Bye now. Hey, good move. Look at this lot. You were right to turn in that direction because you brought us out amongst some crusted port. Quite a lot of crusted port. Bin number 78, apparently. This, in fact, is under London Bridge Station. Built in 1830. Pretty much since then has been a wine storage cellar. Wines put down, not just for looking after them, but also for maturing wines and ports. See these? Churchill 87. I mean, the bottles look really tatty, but I think that's port. Just waiting to mature. Down here, cognacs. Vintage House Hines 68. Delamain. Hennessy 72. And these are the boys whose job it is to run the company that looks after the wine. And it's Ray and Dave, isn't it? Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, can I just pick up a glass and have a little slurp whilst I say, what is, the secret of storing wine?
Well, basically two things. Firstly, a constant temperature is absolutely essential. And obviously not to disturb the wine and move it until it's ready for drinking, which could be sometimes up to 20 years.
Right.
While the wine is maturing.
And Dave, do you ever get tempted to take a bottle or two?
Quite often get tempted, but never do, because the goods are not ours. We're just storing them in the right temperatures for the customers.
But you enjoy a drop every now and then?
But we do take a...
Yes.
a drink quite regularly.
Well, quite right too. And of course this is very appropriate because where are you going with that? Because next week, don't drink it out of the bottle. Don't do that. You just don't do that with wine, all right? Next week, we're going to be in Normandy. We're going to be looking at the city of Caen and, of course, William the Conqueror. Everywhere we've been throughout this series, he has had some sort of influence. So we're going to see where he's buried and that don't drink it out of the bottle. And, of course, all of the cathedrals and fine buildings that he was responsible for, as well as tasting the odd drop. All right? Cheers. You know, I just really can't take you anywhere, can I?